Welcome to CPG Vibes. No script, just chat. We talk all things food and beverage and so much more. Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review. If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service or be a guest, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com. Now your hosts, me, Alex Bear with Genius Juice, and Wade Yenny. Hello. Welcome to episode 82. That's my birth year, which is a special place in my heart for that, of CPG Vibes. Wade, how's it going, brother?
It's good to be back, man. It's good to be back. Great job holding down the fort last week.
Thank you. Last week was hectic, to say the least. Hectic is an understatement. Number one, you were traveling and you were dealing with some weather issues and storms. We want to get more into that. We were dealing here with a imminent hurricane that was coming into Los Angeles. And then I also blame Google Maps for not giving me an accurate time I was going to get home. So I did the entire broadcast from the car on Friday. So you were not here, hurricane coming, cloudy skies, doing it from the car, which it actually came out great for being from the car, like no interruptions, which was a miracle in of itself. And here we are. But tell us more. What happened? What happened last week with you?
I had an impromptu visit to Florida we have a store opening, and so I was down there, and I was only down there. I left on Wednesday and was back on Friday. And it was just torrential rain pretty much the entire time I was down there. I think I'm trying to find the picture that I sent my wife at one point of the radar down there. And it was just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. There was just rain everywhere. So, but I made it back, just not in time for the show.
Yeah, all good, man. All that matters is you made it back in good health and still alive and doing well. So that's it. That's the most important thing. So, all right, so you're back in the saddle. So we're super excited about that. And and so just a couple, I always say this, laundry list items. We got to come up with a better term for that. Make sure to give us 5 stars. Go on Apple Podcasts. We are at 112.
There's my radar.
And that's a storm that just
swooped
in. And what's interesting is I realized how powerful the news is and how news, not to be like a conspiracy theorist, but it's just fact. News makes people buy things, right? Just buy things.
Yep.
And so in LA, right, KTLA 5, Fox 11 News, all the stations you love and remember when you were here in California, when the hurricane was coming into LA, they were just like, make sure to go out and buy supplies and do this and stay hunkered down indoors. And I'll say, was it a lot of rain? Yes. Like on Sunday is when it hit. Like Friday was like not really. Saturday, you started seeing kind of the clouds forming and the weather changed too. It was muggy, which never happens here. It was tropical weather going into Saturday night, overnight, into Sunday, and most of Sunday. So it was torrential rain. But the biggest thing that I saw among everything else was flooding in the streets, but it wasn't terrible. And a lot of branches that fell from trees that fell to the ground or fell to the streets. But the news made it like they kept like 24-hour coverage. The storm, the hurricane's coming. Make sure to stock up on this and stay home. So I went to Whole Foods, and my version of stocking up was getting 1 case of Liquid Death. That was my stocking up. And it was before the hurricane hit, right? It was like Saturday afternoon or something like that. And you could start to feel kind of the tropical weather in the air, the mugginess and all that. And so I went in, I bought Liquid Death, and I looked at the cashier, and then she smiled back at me, like kind of smirked looking at what I was buying. And we're like, yep, I'm buying Liquid Death before a hurricane comes in town. And it was just like, it was funny. And I'm like, I was thinking of posting that on LinkedIn. Like, this is a funny play on their brand, but I didn't want to go there because it's a natural disaster.
Could be life-threatening to somebody.
Could be life-threatening. And, I figured it wasn't going to be bad, but I didn't want to take that chance and look insensitive to what could have been more risky and harder on LA. So with all that said, if you'd like to sponsor our show, we have a great sponsor today, which we're going to talk more about. We'll get into that. But if you'd like to sponsor CPG Vibes 100, there it is on the bottom at gmail.com. And then if you'd like to be a guest, there is a waiting list that, we're taking by the time that every car has to be electric, which is 2032 or something. We'll have some openings for a guest. Besides that, I think we're good, right? To bring on our guest.
I think we are.
Okay, right on. Okay, so we're going to do a little music here to bring this guy on. So his name, he's a co-founder and CEO of Wholly Veggie, and his name is John Bonnell, which is a frozen premium veggie brand. And here he is. John, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on?
Not too much, man. I love the wall in the background. I said that offline already, but I'm going to say it again. Looks great.
And I think I'm looking at the chat here, and Gavin's already boosted my ego, which is great.
He does that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, his ego is in place, so now he's helping other people's egos. So anyway, cool, man. And then you're by the looks of the brick behind you and the window looking a little bit like it looks a little muggy outside. Are you somewhere on the East Coast, like South or Midwest, or tell me where you're at?
Yeah, so Toronto, Canada. So
that couldn't have been more off.
Representing the
but you're on the East Coast, just a different country.
You were there, representing the Canadian contingent. So so weather's been okay here. It's been a pretty cold August, though, to be honest. Really hot July, hot June. And I think we're getting the remnants of that hurricane, just like the tail bits that are left over from it. So weird weather every now and then.
Yeah, it's definitely a very weird time in our country and Canada. And then have you been affected directly by the fires, like the smoke and everything?
It's funny because the smoke that came over from BC that hit New York when it was like apocalyptic and it was all orange, it never hit us that way. You could see it in the sky when you go outside. You could definitely tell something wasn't right. Everyone was warning people to stay inside, don't go outside, don't go running, but we never had it that way. And a lot of the fires that hit in New York actually came from Quebec, which is further east of where I am in Toronto.
Got it. Cool. So tell us, right? I think, Wade, we never know how to open up the show. It's the hardest part, like starting an interview and all this stuff and bringing on a guest and what do we talk about? But I remember that you visited Wade. So you take trips to the US. You visited Wade in his previous home in Greensboro. So do you make it a habit to go out and be like, F the phone, F video chat, let me go out and meet people in person? Is that like part of your MO?
Yeah, I think Jake does it best, which is he says just show up. The biggest thing for me, and Alex, I've heard you talk about it as well, which is nothing beats getting out in the field, checking in on stores, just saying hi to people or showing up. And I think I try to every 6 weeks get outside of our office, every 5 weeks get outside the office, go to our stores, go and visit. And for me, I love coming to the US. Toronto's only an hour and a half flight to New York. I go down, I visit the East Coast. And what I find is pretty cool is that usually if you let people know that you're coming on down, other people in the CPG community, they're pretty welcoming. Wade, stopping by your place, that was awesome. And I think that's the nice thing about our community, which is, just throwing open the door, showing people around, visiting different people you haven't seen before. That's the nice thing about what our community does.
Love it. Hey, Wade, there's a lot of comments coming in here. So I figure we can flip it over to this real quick because we want to make sure that we shout you out and then we can circle back to getting back on topic here. But I just wanted to shout out Kenny, right? He made at least an email announcement that he's heading back to the mainland, right? Looking for other opportunities. That's Kenny Hausman. Kenny, we don't know if you're, again, don't want to jump the shark here or anything like that. But if you're looking for opportunities, let us know, right? We have a community here. We want to help however we can, or maybe you landed and found one already, and I just didn't do a good job reading your email. So just let us know how, if we can help or you need our help. And then we have Gavin Conkle here. He says, John Bonnell, top 3 most handsome guests on this podcast ever. Top 3. Okay. So number 2 and number 1 goes to Gavin and Conkle. Those two. Apparently so. Lisa Petty, and she just emailed us. We got your email about a potential future sponsorship here. Happy freight is fun. Friday. Have you Wade, have you seen like Lisa's posts or videos on LinkedIn at all?
I don't know that I have. I've with traveling the last week, I still feel like I'm about 6 days behind. I just have not.
Your head is just
it's been crazy, and we've had a number of things going here. So
yeah,
but it's been fun. It's been fun, but no, I don't think I've seen it. You got to tell me what's the story.
I want to make sure I have the story straight because I could be confusing. I don't think I am, but I'm gonna look her up right now on LinkedIn. And so she helps brands with freight, and she's in San Clemente, so right around the corner from where I am. And it's called CalGal Freight Solutions. So I love the branding on it, and it's really cool and clever. So she's really, I think, to me, one of the few female owners really focusing on freight, which I really respect and commend because it's mostly males that do it, at least in freight. And then she's jumped into that and created a really great niche to help in certain lanes across the country. So props to Lisa Petty on that and giving you some free press here on CPG Vibes. And a lot more comments from Gavin that I'm going to skip over because we've already seen his comment. Rich Monez, giving him shit. That's what we do on the show. This might be the nicest day of August so far. And then also Wade points out, make sure to take notes because we're going to be giving away, and it's called Spicewell. So Spicewell with Raina Kumra. I think I got her name pronounced right. And that's about, and Michael Bendos, one more Quantum Energy Squares, right? Quantum Energy Squares. It's been so long, but happy to be back. Missed you all. Missed you too, Michael. Just had one of your bars the other day. I think at either Sprouts or Lazy Acres. I can't remember which one, but I was there.
Hi, Mr. Bendos. Welcome back.
Cool. All right. So focusing back in on you. So I want to ask too, because this is just me playing dumb. The plant-based replacement meat category, are you doing any products directly like a patty made out of veggies, or are you going for more different types of veggie combinations? Tell us more about your product lineup and what you do.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to try to keep my voice a bit lower because I know it's a bit loud on my end. But when we first started the company, not many people know, but I used to work in the meat business. So Dave and I, my co-founder, we used to work for a meat company that sold organic cattle and chicken and fish. And the idea behind Wholly Veggie was, how can we find a way to create more balance in our food system? So how could we find a way for people to have more veggies on their plate? And the original product that we came up with at the beginning was a veggie patty, just made from veggies. So we had a Southwest beef patty, we had a herby garlic patty, because our view was a burger or a patty was the most understood form factor for someone when it came to eating like a vegetable kind of alternative product. And so we started with one of those products at the very beginning, and we opened up the Canadian market where we're from. And then when we looked to go down to the US, we actually tested with Target, and we tested in about 200 stores. And that was my first realization that where you say you want to go in a grocery store is not where you end up, because we'd always merchandised our product in the fridge, because we did frozen slack, kind of 60-day shelf life on the product. And we got put into the freezer, and the packaging was wrong. It wasn't the right design, and it didn't work. And so we pulled out of expanding kind of veggie burgers in the US, and everything we've launched after that has been trying to stay away from, meat substitute products. So our cauliflower wings, just cauliflower, our meals, just veggies. So we just try to keep it vegetable based, because we're okay if people eat meat. Like, we've never been a company that's been, show us your plate and we'll shame you because you're eating meat. Our whole focus was, how can we make it easier for you to add more vegetables to your plate? So that's what we've never done, like a fake sausage or a fake crumble. And to be honest, I'm happy now that the industry's in upheaval. Like, I'm sure we've all seen the headlines, and it's sad. But there's a ton of consolidation happening in the meat alternative space. A lot of great founders and great companies aren't surviving right now. And so we're seeing this massive purge. And I'm sure, Wade, you've seen even on the retail side, which is a lot of shrinking of the doors, both in fridge and frozen, that were allocated to the plant-based movement, are really coming down now. I'm just focusing on the core stuff.
Yep. Yeah, there's certainly been a lot of, to your point, brands come and go, SKUs come and go, and quite honestly, the category as a whole isn't performing. There was that big rush when Impossible and Beyond and everything came out, and it was plant-based, and kind of taking a little turn, as far as that goes. I think it was so much so fast. And it's really seeing what's going to stick, and what the customers are going back to pick up. Whether I'm right or wrong, I think there's a little bit of taste factor in some of the items in the category, right? So if you're looking at it as part of your diet, perhaps you're a little bit more open to those items, and coming back and repeat purchases. But I think the people that are eating meat, maybe if they're buying one, there might be the repeat buys might be a little bit of a problem, right? And you mentioned the differences between the refrigerated case, the frozen case. There's a lot of that going back and forth, and I think some of that is due to the high shrink and perishability of the product, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not turning as fast as retailers would like. So there's some liability there as far as being able to move the product before it expires, especially in the refrigerator case. So.
Yep, exactly. It's interesting. This reminds me of a conversation that I had with Zoe Feldman. Not sure if either of you gentlemen have met her or seen her in person or seen her at Expo. She worked with Pepsi, right next to the CEO, and then she was with Chobani and Chobani Incubator for a while. Then she worked with Momofuku, right? The restaurant, the Asian inspired restaurants, and also products as well. And I asked her, I'm like, what do you think? I asked her like maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. What do you think the future of food is? Like, where is it going? And this is when Impossible and Beyond Meat were like sky high valuations and raising money. And she just said, people want real food like that. Yeah. That's where it's going. And it's going back to basics, because it's getting too weird and it's getting too fancy and it's getting too complicated. And people are, that are health conscious are not going to fully understand all the ingredients that's in the food. And so, like, I'm a vegetarian, and I go to vegan restaurants. They don't sell a lot of the Beyond plate, with the Beyond Meat that goes into the burrito or whatever. They just sell a lot of cauliflower with rice with a nice sauce that tastes really good with avocado on top. Just fucking simple. And like, that's where it's going back to. And we're seeing that. Evidently, we're seeing that by these food tech companies that are just not meeting expectations from investors.
Yeah, and I was also trying to find other parallels that we've witnessed over the past 20, 25 years in food and beverage, where a trend gets hot, the investor capital floods around it, and it moves way too fast. And then there's this fall off. And I was trying to think of what other trends have we seen, because
CBD, I mean, that's one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a dying trend, but it definitely had a big hype in 2019.
Yeah. And it's, I think not everybody's an innocent party in it, because I think when things get hot, everybody gets excited, right? We were all pumped about, what was happening, and, Game Changers came out and everybody's calling me, you watch that movie, and then the valuations, like we got pitched to go public, like during that period as well. And the numbers that people were throwing at people were insane. And I remember saying to Dave, like, when this was going on, I said, the only people that make money in those scenarios are the people that help you go public. And it's like, you're going to be left holding the bag. when all the hype's done and your stock's trading at, half a penny, and investors are suing you because they're not happy with results, like it's going to be a miserable time. And I think, you've made, Alex, a statement earlier, I've seen this on LinkedIn, about build for the long term, right? And so, focus on building something that can last. And I think a lot of these financial instruments get thrown at founders, whether it be on the PE side, the VC side, or the go public side. But there's a lot of good people in it. But on that side, it just distracts you from why you even started the company.
Exactly. And, I got a call earlier today from, I won't say their name, but they're a refrigerated dessert product. It's not Midday Squares. But it's a delicious product. And this person is in tons of stores, but their own manufacturing, had the brand for 9 years. They're hitting profitability. They're not trying to go everywhere. They're very careful, and they have no major investors. And it took a long time to get there and a lot of pain. But I think if you spend 3 to 4 years just building, I mean, this is not to be repetitive, but a solid business model, solid margins, if you can self-manufacture, if it's possible, I know it's harder at first, but it becomes easier down the road and better margins once everything's in place. Do that. But it seems like it was funny because in 2017, I spoke with this person and I was like, why don't you raise more money and make this go faster, and go from this revenue to this, because you have a great product. And this person said, not going to do that. I'm not going to, emulate who's next to me, right? Just because they're doing it and it looks sexy where they raised $10 million and they're getting into 10,000 stores.
Yeah.
That's not for me. And it's not my product. Now, there are products where they're on that pathway and the CEO has that mentality and they want to go all the way, and there has been success. But I would argue that for every Lemon Perfect, for every Koya, or for every Liquid Death, every one company, there's 1,000 that raises a bunch of money and they fail, they run out of money, and it's just a hype. So yeah, you just got to be careful.
Yeah. And I've been thinking more and more about how much, product market fit matters in a lot of this. And, if you've got things just have to align, like it's the right product. It's not easy for someone else to replicate from a manufacturing standpoint. You got the wins in your favor from a trend perspective. And yeah, like that ride up, it's still difficult, but it makes sense. You almost feel okay about it really hitting the gas. But if you don't have all those things lining up, sometimes when you try to press really fast, you stumble.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Well, resetting the room here. This is episode 82 of CPG Vibes. We have John Bonnell of Wholly Veggie. And and we have our sponsor, which is Spicewell, and she's going to be giving out some pouches of her delicious spices in aluminum containers you can take anywhere with you, travel safe, and all that good stuff. So anyway, make sure to stay tuned. Also, throwing in our permanent sponsor, which is V-Driven. V is in velocity, driven. We'll talk more about them, but I'd like to just throw that in. So with all this in mind, right, everything we're talking about with sustainability, and how have you adjusted your business in the last 6 to 12 months? What have you done internally? Product pipeline, what products you have? Tell us more about how you've adjusted for what's going on.
Yeah, like before we went live, Wade and I were chatting, and a lot of what you've talked about, other people talked about, we're trying to get profitable.
That's Gavin has that question too.
Yeah. Yes. Look, strategy changes every quarter, it feels like sometimes, but a big focus on just getting cash flow break even, getting EBITDA positive. And we've had to make a lot of difficult decisions, and it sucked, right? Like it's, you have to realign your cost structure to getting to that path of break even, and you have to make a lot of really difficult decisions. Also, in the product thing too, I did a deep dive and I looked over the past, let's say 5 years launching products, and I ran the math and I said, oh my God, I've launched a lot of stinkers. Like we've had a few winners, but a lot of stinkers. And I think when things aren't going that well, sometimes like when you hit like a rough patch, you really begin to question all of your decision making. You're like, oh man, like did I, am I good at trend forecasting and all that stuff? But then when you ask other people around the industry, what's your success rate like on your products? And pretty much you hit the same number, you feel a little bit better, and you can move forward. But the biggest thing for us is we got the benefit of that COVID bump for our business. So we really took off. We launched our frozen appetizers really at the end of 2019. Q1 hit 2020, and all of a sudden things just went boom, like just went absolutely crazy. And so we felt okay about like continually launching new stuff. And then now we're kind of pulling back, I'd say, from a strategy perspective. We're being way more careful. We've developed a new grading criteria. So, we find the issue with products is not the number of ideas, it's the ones you let go through the pipeline. So now we've designed is basically a grading system that we send to our advisors and we send to everyone internally, which is, you got an idea, let's run it through the criteria. If it hits all the criteria, we can move forward. And so that's really pared down. It's like a really good sieve. It's really pared down, where we want to go as a brand. And it's also made my life easier. Like no one likes jumping from product launch to product launch. You feel like you never give the one you just launched enough attention. And that's something that also is an issue. And so we're resetting, trying to develop systems in place that make us smarter, especially with a leaner team. And yeah, keep pounding the veggie pavement. That's what we're doing.
So, Gavin put a question up there. And I would like you to answer that, but I was going to ask you, looking where you're at now, and you kind of reference, where you want to go. Where do you want to go? What are the next steps for Wholly Veggie as far as strategy steps that you can share, obviously?
Yeah, I think, where we're trying to spend time is, what problems can we solve for consumers when it comes to underconsumption of vegetables? That's our focus. And, we're staying in frozen because I feel sometimes as, when brands really jump from category to category and they haven't spent enough time to build their awareness in that set, it can be very confusing. Some people pull it off well, which is great. I think Bands is a great example. Those guys have gone across almost every category in the grocery store. But we're really trying to focus on problem solving in frozen and just, being cautious. Like we're probably not going to launch anything new this year. So we're going a solid 14 months, 15 months without new innovation. And that makes me nervous. But also the rest of the team are very happy about that. Operations is happy. We're marketing's happy. Like people are happy. Like, okay, let's trim this thing down and let's then launch carefully for next year. And we're also we've taken a step back from a lot of the shows. So from the expos, the West and East and all that stuff. And we're still doing the KE and the Unify shows, the ones where we get a chance to sell. But I really trying to look at every expense with the business and just say, okay, do we really need to do this? Is this going to give us the best value? And if it doesn't, then no, we're holding off.
Yeah, and I can definitely say from personal experience how disruptive, how much time it takes, energy to launch a new line. It's like a year to a year and a half in advance. And, Wade knows this too, interfacing with brands and how long it takes on the preparation side. So it's extremely hard. And then, one thing that I also, when I talked to, I went to the Naturally LA event this week, shout out to Naturally LA. It was at the Feel Free office, the little shot in Santa Monica. And there were a ton of brands there, 7, 8 brands sampling, right, to 80 people that were there. And some brands were saying, well, I'm getting into this new store. I got into Whole Foods. I'm going to get into Target, blah, 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 blah. So one question that I asked them is, what is a channel that you can go into that there's no chargebacks, the sales could be potentially higher per outlet, and you can stay in there for a long time? Like, I always like founders to think on that level. So for us so far, it's coffee shops, right? We're just starting in coffee shops with our little genius shots that I had a little post this morning. So thanks to whoever on that. Thank you. Yeah. It's a lot of work. And, but we figured out, we're like, where can we go? That's easy to get into relatively. You just have to pound the pavement, get in there, and it doesn't take a year and a review calendar. But those are important too. Getting in, it's diversifying your revenue streams is what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
You pitch all the regional natural stores and conventional stores and mass market and moolah, all those things. But while you're doing that, what is a revenue stream that's going to give you great margin that you can close right away and build really, really quickly for alternate revenue streams to kind of hedge your risk? So, so I think food service, to me, in certain environments, whether it's on a menu, right, whether it's an ingredient they use within the plate in a vegetarian restaurant, what's been happening there? Have you looked at doing that, growing that side of the business?
Yeah. So it's funny because we don't own our manufacturing. So we, at the very beginning when we were starting the company, everyone said asset light model is the way to go. Okay. Yeah. I've learned to also question everything people tell me. But we never felt comfortable about approaching food service until we had the right product. So we just started doing food service up in Canada with a chain of stores called Mucho Burrito. We're taking the dairy-free cheese that's in our cheese sticks, and we're doing a shred. But the other thing people don't talk about is private label. And I think if I look at a lot of the companies that have been around for a while, private label is driving basically all the revenue that's going to support the operation of the business. And even friends of mine who are sub 5 years as a brand that now have a little facility are exploring private label, and they're actually doing it for other CPG brands. So they're helping each other out. And I just think it's very costly to try to build a business. To answer your criteria, like a lot of retail stores don't satisfy that criteria you just defined. That's not a bad thing. It just doesn't. So, food service is one, but private label is something that if we got in manufacturing, we'd probably open up. We know it comes with its own set of challenges. Excuse me, but it's you got to find a way to pay the bills and give you the cash flow to then support the more expensive side of the business, which is the retail side. And then, I could almost answer your criteria, except a long time. I was going to say Costco, but a long time does not apply to Costco. You get your in and outs. You get your 13 weeks. And then if you satisfy the Costco gods, they give you another 13 weeks. And then maybe turns into a core item, but.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot, Wade, about private label on this show as well, about the benefits and the costs of private label. And what's funny is, back in 2018, 2019, right before Shark Tank, or when we were on Shark Tank with Genius Juice, a lot of my investors were like, or advisors were like, well, private label, you can't build the brand, right? You don't see the brand name on the packaging. It's Kroger or Simple Truth or O Organic or whatever it is. It's becoming a lot more attractive now because like it's more about financial stability, more revenue, more volume, getting your costs down, getting your margins up. And I mean, there's a brand that I know that does private label, a drink that is well sought after. They do tens of millions of dollars a year. I've mentioned them on the show before. I can't say their name or what they do. And it's clean. And there's no chargebacks. There's typically pickup, where the retailer wants to pick it up if they have trucks in the area, because it's a retail brand, right? And then there's no promotion. It just sells. And I think in this environment and economy, private label was once not so much an afterthought, but maybe something that you do down the road, or it's becoming more of a priority now for brands to look into and potentially do. But I will have a little kind of what's the word, like a cautionary tale. It needs to be something that's private label, that can be marketed well under private label, like something where there's a brand product. Like cereal is the best example to me. Like you have the cereal, then you have, you know, you have Frosted Flakes, then you have whatever, sugary flakes, whatever it's called, right? And you know, the private label one, it needs to be private labelable, because some things are just not. So when looking at like frozen, you know, veggies and everything you do, are you seeing are you seeing an opportunity or retailers saying, hey, we could do this, like this could be something that we could do? Or is it like still like very early stages where you haven't had those conversations yet?
No, we had them in our first year of business. People were approaching us about private label.
That's
And I
huge.
always felt weird having to say, I don't own the facility, right? Like I could arrange something here where I can make some money and you could be happy, but you're going to discover pretty soon that I can only fake it for so long before you ask where the facility is located. Um, I would say there's tons of opportunity, like the categories that we're playing in. So, when we shift out of just natural and we go into, conventional appetizers, conventional entrees, those are categories that are really owned by roughly 5 companies and they dominate. And I'm coming in and they're at a $2.99 for an entree and I'm coming in at a $6.99. Really hard for me to compete. So when I see opportunities across that frozen aisle to maybe we could do, a private label offering if they also bring in our brand, like that's the type of stuff I'm very interested in. We actually do, without even owning the manufacturing, we actually do a private label product up in Canada. And that's basically us, bringing a product over from Europe, and kind of doing the new packaging for it and then reselling it. Dave, my business partner, loves that type of business because it's, to your point, it's clean, it's simple. Often we do pickup, but even back to your earlier statement, which is, we often get told by, investors and different people in the financial community, it's like, you got to focus on your brand, Well, how many brands are selling these days just for the brand? Like
Not many.
Exactly. And so I think we often only put on the pedestal the crazy sales, like the RX bars and stuff like that. But there's a ton of activity that happens below that are just good businesses that get sold,
Yep,
that make
exactly.
money, that are doing $30, $40 million in revenue or $10 million in revenue that make some money and get sold. And it's like, we don't want to glamorize those ones. We just want to glamorize the one where it was a 4-year hit and they were gone. Well, it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, sure. Like I would like to hit like Otani as well. It doesn't happen,
Yeah, it's kind of a false, I'll go to flip it to Wade, but like I just have to comment. It's cool to see that in the news, but it gives a lot of entrepreneurs this like sense, like, they're seeing the dollar bills and they're going, wow, they're mesmerized. I could be that next brand. I could sell for 100 million. And I can't tell you how many founders said those words 3 years ago, right? Like 2019 into 2020. Like, wow, like what I want to do, build it, like literally almost every entrepreneur, right? Not all of them, but I'm going to build it to 20 to 25 million. Like next year we do 5, then 10, then 15, then 20, and then I'll sell it for 50 million and up. I mean, how many times have you freaking heard that? And there is now, and I know, Wade, you see this too from, the other side of the aisle, is there's a reckoning now that brands are like, this is just not realistic. And if you do get bought, it will be a long-term relationship with someone that's already working with you, right? It could be a manufacturer, it could be a supplier. I mean, you hear about these, you hear them, from in conversation, but not on the newswire or on BevNet. And like you said, John, I love those types of deals because you grind it out, you form a great partnership. You're doing 5 million in revenue. Your partner's like, yeah, no, I'm going to give you discounts as a manufacturer because we're partners and we're building this business together. And if you hit these goals and your sales team, we'll do what we do on the manufacturing side. But if your sales team comes through and hits the goals, there could be a buyout here for 3x because you're profitable. So those are the ones to me that are sexy, that are possible, but don't be fooled. It still takes a shitload of work, and having that great partnership in place. It's not so much private equity. We're talking a partner that works with you week by week, month by month, and that's not easy to find. Wade, you were gonna say something.
No, that's you're spot on. I mean, I think it's basically just survival of the fittest, right? I mean, it's what do you have to do to make money and to survive? So, hopefully everybody's okay. You're not getting arrested there or anything. But
apologies, Toronto. That's my fault.
Wholly Veggie.
Yes.
Just giving you veggies, guys.
Yes. But I wanted to talk a little bit about being a Canadian company, and obviously you started in Canada, right? And talk a little bit about how you built your distribution in the U.S. And as you look at, what challenges there were with that as far as being a Canadian company. I think it's a lot more common now than it was, say, 5-6 years ago, right? And because there's a lot of Canadian brands that we're seeing in the, either here or on their way. But what talk a little bit about how you built that distribution, what challenges you had.
I'd like to say we had a plan, and we had a plan until we met Target and we jumped on it. But generally speaking, how we navigated it through the years was, our view is that let's focus on California. Let's go down there. And we didn't know anything about the way the distribution business worked in the US in terms of having an anchor. There wasn't, we don't have that concept roughly in Canada. So, we went down there, we knocked on all the doors, and then the first person to give us a shot down in California was Gelson's. And, we went down there and it gave us a shot, opened up the DC, and then we're like, okay, then we discovered this whole concept of, okay, well, in the DC list, there was all these different other retailers that were pulling. And so we started knocking on all those doors to say, hey, our codes are live, let's go. And the plan was build California and then go from there. And I'd say if I was to redo this again, rather than going all the way to California, because it's for me, Toronto to California is a 5-hour flight. Even when we hired people on the ground out there, there was such a distance between us and them. And as a young company, we're tough, and it's tough to build culture when you're so young and you're scattered and you're trying to figure out how to do things. You don't have systems in place. So if I was to redo this, I would have gone Chicago and then basically down the Eastern Seaboard, because we would have been able to service that business better. We could have driven to some of the major cities we wanted to go and be in, and just take it a lot slower. We were attracted by the shiny object of California because everyone told us, hey, this is the mecca of natural food, all these cool independent stores. I felt awesome like being down there, part of the community. And then I realized that wasn't the best idea. I'd say a lot of Canadian companies, we're pretty, like, our approach in Canada, like we're pretty cautious, like a lot of the companies, and they're always trying to find the right time to go across the border. And so people always ask me these questions, which is, like, when do you go to the US and how do you approach it? And I would say your plan, basically your plan will dictate whether you have the money to support it. And if you don't have the capital, don't go, all out in the US. Like take your time. And you can do that by just picking pockets that are easily serviceable from wherever you are in Canada, whether in Montreal where Jake is or Toronto where I am, and slowly begin to build it out. We made tons of mistakes, man. Like I remember we opened up a white glove distributor, and then we discovered afterwards that they had a guaranteed shrink program, and this was on our burgers. And basically we started getting all these chargebacks for our burgers. We're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then one day we were owed like 20 grand, but then the number of deductions perfectly equaled 20 grand. So we're like, okay, pal. We're like, oh, forget this business. Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah, it seems like
Wow.
don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
The odds are way stacked against us when it comes to national distributors, even some specialty ones. There's some great ones. Don't get me wrong, but there's also a lot that you lose money or you don't really get the margins that you need. So you just got to be careful. This is
Yeah.
why food service is a good alternate revenue stream. I do think Unify is the better of the national distributors. I will say that much. They're not perfect. No one's perfect,
Yeah.
but a Genius Juice, we had very few issues. A lot of brands have not had issues. I've heard some stories where they did, but a majority I think have had a relatively good experience. And so, with all that said, you're definitely right. You just have to pick where you want to go and then like dig deep there, right? Inch wide, mile deep. What's
Hmm.
really funny though, I will mention with every entrepreneur that has any kind of a food or beverage product, frozen, refrigerated, shelf stable, if they're in East Coast, Chicago, Florida, whatever, wherever they are, even Canada, they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm in these stores right near me, 10 miles away. I went across the border to New York, and I'm also in Erewhon. I'm like, what? It seems like it's like everything around them and then Erewhon. Like that's, Gelson's too, but like Erewhon is the one where people are like, it's like a destination where people want to be in those stores. And it's interesting, right? There's sometimes a cost to get in, depends on your conversation with them, because they have a lot of people coming in. But they're now valued. I heard this right from several people over $1 billion,
That's
which
insane.
is insane. They do
Wow.
300 million a year in sales. They have, I believe, 9 stores now. When we first got in, they had one right in West Hollywood, and then they're opening up a new one in Pasadena in September. And I've been to their new ones too. That's what blows my mind. And this is just a side note: as I went for the first time, the one in studios to the one in Silver Lake, and I don't know what was there before. Okay, I don't know if it was an office building. I don't know if it was a warehouse. You have people parking in the middle of the street and like the yellow, like the little turn lane areas and they put their hazards on and they run in and get a smoothie and come out. I'm like,
That's
dude,
wild.
like they just created madness. Like wherever they're going, they're creating madness in those areas where like suddenly there's no parking anymore wherever they go. So it's interesting, but I love those types of retailers, despite that there might be a cost to get in because they have so much demand, because you get a lot of eyeballs on it. You can grow your brand that way. But I also like getting feedback as well. Like when you get into a store where there's a lot of eyeballs on it, you go in and you demo, you have 100 people in the store at one time or 200 at one time. You can really collect a lot of data with like demos. And so we're going to start doing that with our shots to see, do people like them or not. We're running out of time. I'd like to move on to our next segment here, which is stuff we love. And then we have also our sponsor. And again, our sponsor is Spicewell. We'll talk more about her brand, Reina Kumra. Again, shout me out if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I'm usually 50-50 with these things. I think when I first met you, Wade, I was like, Wade Yenny. Is that your name? Or it's French, right? No.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's do stuff we love here, and then this is just really talking about products that that we love. So John, I'll hit it to you first. Any products in your pantry you've been obsessed with lately?
Yeah, so Flourish pancake mix. So it's a low carb, high protein pancake mix. A friend of mine makes it. I have put it in my waffle iron. It's really fast, and I think he's going down to the US. I think he is.
So the Canadian company.
Yeah.
Cool.
Support.
Cool. Right.
Nice. I'm not. I don't have a prop in front of me, but what I will say that what I've been using a lot lately. It was a guest on our show a few weeks, maybe a few months ago. Danos. I've been using Danos religiously on a lot of products. I've been using it for potatoes. We do these air fried potatoes for brunch on the weekends, and it works wonderfully. And I use it for vegetables, any meat that I cook. I've been using Danos quite a bit. I haven't found the seasoning one yet. Haven't seen that one yet. but I'm anxious to try that.
Cool. So I'm going to cover the logo here, but based on the color and the shape, what do you think this is?
Midday Square.
It's a Midday Squares. So
Boom.
Sprouts. Wait, that was like, I didn't even put it on the screen yet. And you're like,
well, I bought some this week myself. So
yeah, they've improved it seems like the quality continues to go higher on their product.
Yeah.
It's just really well dialed in. And, you know, I my new favorite is the cookie dough, the yellow one. And this one's the peanut butter, the orange one. Simple branding. It's in a square. It's in a refrigerated set. Go to Target, go to Sprouts. Whole Foods and SoPac, man. Jake, I know it's still not in here. I know you're pissed about, not pissed, but you want it to be in here. They're gonna get global with Whole Foods. It's just a matter of someone clicking a button at Austin to do it. It's not even a question. It's just, can someone do it? You know, can someone in one of the office spaces there click a button, get it loaded in, get it reset? So it's gonna happen. And I'm big into refrigerated goodies. So Hail Mary, it's another one. They're Meyer lemon. And then the last one, this is at Sprouts. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
What is that?
It's called Dulce. So it's a dark chocolate. It's a brownie. So it's a refrigerated, super premium. They have like blondies and brownies. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's just like a vegan type dessert. Almond flour, coconut sugar, eggs, avocado oil, cacao powder, vanilla extract, and sea salt. That's it. And they have a thing where if you buy, I'm going to blow them up on this one. If you go to Sprouts and you buy 9 of these, they will Venmo you, paying you back for 8 of them.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. And honestly, fuck it. I'm going to give you the number because they want people, right, to buy this, right? So the number is, man, this is going to be, where is it?
So it wasn't like a privately shared number, was it?
This is like, you know, their text, their SMS marketing.
Yeah.
You know, and so they want people. It's not just like, I was just on their mailing list. It's not like, you know, they picked me out. So their number is, Wade's going to like, he's finding a pen.
I'm getting a pen.
So it's area code, you know, there was the 1, right? The prefix. Area code is 762 800 1039. 762 800 1039. What you do is you go to Sprouts, you buy 9 of them. They Venmo you back for 8. So you buy 1, the rest are free. And all you have to do is text them your receipt. And then they find your Venmo account attached to your number, and they will reimburse you within 48 hours.
Wow. So do you just send that receipt to that number? You have to sign up for something first.
No, you have to, I don't know. I think you just text them and just say like, this is my name, this is my email, just so they have it. And I just bought Dulce. Here's the receipt. Take a picture.
They're going to either really like you, Alex, or they're going to really hate you. There's no in between.
No in between. That's how I roll. You know, if someone's not loving you or hating you, then you're doing something wrong, right? Just kidding. All right. So with all that said, let's go to our next segment, which is our sponsor here. And this is called Friday Freebies. Friday Freebies. Okay. So, Wade, rock, paper, scissors. You want to do the sponsor?
I'll do the sponsor. I've got it queued up. I've got it right in front of me. So okay. I think, did I just put the link up? Because I'm looking at a different screen now. Yeah.
I'll let you do that. I'm going to do V-Driven real quickly here. So V-Driven is a CPG partner for emerging purpose-driven brands. They fuel growth and innovation by providing strategies and support in every phase of the retail journey, from leadership coaching, brand management, accounting, sales strategy. They help you with trade spend deduction. They have a master sales force that will help you get into different retailers. I think they're also covering Canada now, I believe. So they have some coverage up there, which is great. And they just want you to succeed and grow. And Luke Abbott, he's a CEO. This guy, you can hop on the phone with him. He's fantastic. If he's likes your brand, obsessed with it, and likes you, he'll bring you on. They're super affordable. to help you grow your sales and revenue. They also do accounting, which like sounds boring, but their accounting is like under $1,000 a month for them to manage. Not, I wouldn't say like file your taxes, but like trade spend deductions, your month to month, COGS, everything, as a CEO, right? You're managing and you're looking at these things. They have an outsourced team that helps, and their own team that helps with that, and has a close. They close your books every single month. So that's pretty affordable for under $1,000. So vdriven.com. And then if you want to email Luke Abbott, it's luke.abbott, ABBOTT at vdriven.com.
There it is on the screen for you. So that leaves me with our special sponsor this week, and that is Spicewell. And I have the link up on the screen now. So I'm really kind of excited about this because Spicewell is the world's first functional seasoning brand grounded in Ayurveda. And Google that if you don't know what it is. It's pretty fascinating. Spicewell puts 10% of your daily vitamins into a half teaspoon of new salt or new pepper. It's packed with superfoods and Ayurvedic herbs such as turmeric with the pepper and ashwagandha in the salt. It's double lab tested and remarkably flavorful. And they just launched the sea salt this summer, which is also packaged and processed 100% plastic free. So talk about sustainability efforts. Big deal right now, right? So the prize this week is a trio of their pouches. You get the new salt, the new pepper, and sea salt, plus a pocket sea salt in a gorgeous aluminum container. It's really sharp. If you check the website out, it's very sharp, that you can take it everywhere. And the founder has promised that this sea salt tastes way better than Maldon. The prize is a $60 value. Thanks again to the founder, Raina Kumra. I know she was in here earlier. I don't know if she still is, but thank you, Raina. And Spicewell. I'm pretty excited about trying that. Alex, have you had a chance yet?
I have not. I know she's going to send us some products to, we also bought some as well, or buying some, I should say. So I'm going to try it in the household because I'm all about those types of spices. Ayurvedic, helping you, reducing inflammation, make you feel healthier, but also it brings a lot of taste and aroma to the meal that if you're cooking, Wholly Veggie, right? You're thawing it down, putting it into a pan, sprinkle some of that on top.
Heck yeah.
Boom. Tied it right in. All right. So the question. So for those that don't know, we have a trivia question. That's something that we mentioned throughout in this episode somewhere. And we're going to ask you that if you're paying attention and taking notes, as Wade recommended you did in the very beginning. Professor Yenny said, bring your pen and pad, take notes.
Open book test. You just have to take the notes, right?
Yeah, exactly. So John, we're going to defer to you. Some question, something that you said or was brought up, but make it really difficult because they got to work to win this one.
Big prize.
Who was the first retailer that opened up a DC for us?
All right.
Nice.
I give that about a 7.5 on the scale out of 10 for difficulty.
It's out of 10, right?
Out of 10. Yeah, not out of 7.5. It's going to be answered pretty quickly, I imagine. So again, the question one more time.
So which retailer was the first one that opened up a DC for us?
Gavin, got it.
Boom.
All right. Opened up the Unify Moreno Valley DC. I know that DC very well. I've been there.
Right.
It's endless. It's enormous. The cross dock for like every DC from Moreno Valley, like Unify East, Richfield, Aurora. It's such a monster hub for them. And they also do Hawaii as well from there. It's interesting. So, Gavin, you are the winner. Make sure to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. I have a feeling like you and John are already connected some way, somehow, like your buddies. Yeah. So he can just hit you up with a text probably and say, here's my address.
Brother,
well, no, Spicewell's the prize, though. So unless Johnathan,
I'll double it up.
Yeah.
I'll double it up. I got you, Gavin.
Yeah, I'm so used to the brand sponsoring that I just had a brain fart there. So it's going to be a double up. Okay, so yeah. And Gavin, we're going to connect you with Raina, and also John, Gavin, you guys can connect. My bad on that. And Raina, thank you for sponsoring our show. Really appreciate it. And again, if you just email us, cpgvibes100@gmail.com, you can sponsor it. We'll shout you out. And also, I think a good idea, and it's hard with spice, but if you have a product that we can consume or drink, send it to me and Wade beforehand and send us swag, and we can wear it, eat it, drink it, before, during the show, and at the end of the show. So I think, Wade, and we're not shy to eat stuff during an interview.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Daily Crunch. That's an interesting audio sound, right?
Exactly. Yes. Right up in the microphone, right?
Right up in there. All right. So cool, man. Well, what do you guys, we always end it this way. What are you guys doing this fine weekend?
Johnathan first.
Paddleboarding again.
Nice.
So I told Wade earlier, which is to just kind of help deal with all the stress during the week. I hop on one of our Great Lakes up here in North America, Lake Ontario, and I pop out with my paddleboard and escape into nature. And I only have a few weeks left to enjoy this weather, so I'm gonna soak it up.
Love it.
Nice. Wade?
Love it. Renee and I are headed to the mountains tomorrow, so we're going to go down to Asheville and Gavin's old stomping grounds and spend some time down there and hang out a little bit and just get away. It's been a crazy couple weeks, so looking to decompress and relax a little bit. So
yeah, it seems like it's in the air. People are just exhausted right now. Like and all the meetings and everything, I can tell, myself included, just, the push from July 4th, like through the summer, and no real breaks for most people. Some people take vacations if they're able to, right, which is great. But most entrepreneurs do not. And we're working through this all the way until Labor Day. And then from Labor Day, there's nothing for another 2.5 months until Thanksgiving, unless you count Halloween. But that's not really a holiday to me, but it's fun, but not a holiday. So yeah, it's I think the wellness side, going into the ocean, exercising, to quote Mark Samuel, health is wealth. Just make sure to take care of yourselves and don't work too hard. Make sure to take breaks as much as you can, So definitely. Next week.
How about you though, Alex? How about you? What are you up to?
Yeah. Case in point, I forgot to talk about myself. Been working too hard. So it has been another very long week. So for me, the Pavilions Hatch Chili event is tomorrow in San Clemente. So once a year, they do 4 shows or 4 farmers market style events. They did Pasadena, Seal Beach, San Clemente, and then Rancho Santa Margarita, and not in that order. And so we're going to go to the one that's in San Clemente. And we're going to set up a little pop-up. We're going to have the Genius shots and sample them out to the Pavilions customers. So doing that. And then probably no golf this weekend. I played already this week, yesterday, at my favorite course. So that's what we're doing. And then, obviously spending a lot of time with my wife and our son, because they haven't really seen a lot of me this week. They see me at night, but during the day I'm out or doing sales or on phone calls. So
excellent. Well, it sounds awesome. And Marcia Yensko, if I'm not mistaken, is in San Clemente, so maybe she'll be stopping by to try the shots and say hi.
Cool. I had no idea. Yeah, Marcia. It's the Pavilions in
Marcia. I said Marcia. I always say Marcia. It's Marcy.
So it is Marcy.
It's Marcy, and I always say Marcia. Marcia. That's what
Marcia.
Marcy.
As a Canadian, what's a Hatch Chili event? Because we've got maple syrup festivals, but don't know what this Hatch Chili thing is.
Hatch Chili is a seasonal chili that grows, from what I know, and Wade, correct me if I'm wrong, a couple months a year. And
I believe that's right. Isn't it in New Mexico, right?
New Mexico. It's in New Mexico. Yep. It's from New Mexico. And so Pavilions, what's so cool is they order like a truckload of this, and it comes in like these big boxes, like produce boxes, and they stack up the boxes around these huge contraptions with a turn.
They roast
them, and they roast the chilies, and then they dump them out back into the box, and then people buy them.
They
and then
buy
like
full cases roasted. Yep.
People love cooking, on the grill with them, putting, next to meat or with meat, or even other veggies, right? Like wholly veggies. And it also is really popular in guacamole. I see a lot of guacamole now with hatch chili in it. Are you seeing that, Wade, as well?
Yeah. So we, when I was in Louisiana, you can Google it. Rouse's does like huge events. I mean, they do infused burgers with hatch chilies. They do cornbread, you name it, throughout the store. It's like almost a month-long thing. But they do the big roasting event typically at bigger stores that can support it, like Alex is describing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And it tastes really good to me. It's not, it's spicy. Would you call it spicy, but not overly spicy?
Not overly spicy. Nope. It's nice. It's a great pepper.
Cool. You got to import some up there.
Yeah,
John, for sure.
New business.
New business. Your operations team just panicked right now. They're like, oh my God, he just got a new idea. Hatched holy hatch chilies.
Holy hatch chili, yeah. I like it.
They're not gonna like me for giving you the idea.
No.
All right. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your story. And yeah, man, you're hanging in there, you're doing well. And thanks again, man, for joining us on CPG Vibes.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Great seeing you.
Likewise.
And Wade, love you, buddy. Have a wonderful weekend as well.
You too, man. Enjoy it. Love you, buddy.
And we'll see you next week. Same place, same time. It's going into the Labor Day, right? The Labor Day weekend. But Wade, I think we're good. I'm good for Friday. So we're going to be, it's on like Donkey Kong. September 1st, right? That's next week, 2:30, 5:30 Eastern. And we are going to have a guest, Dixie Jackson, who has the world's first boiled peanut in prepackaged form. That's going to be a cool interview. And she's in New Jersey. So she's going to have that East Coast flavor going into the meeting. So,
right on.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take good care.